All right, war number 8, I believe. This is against PYCB. And we're going to die in this one. And it's using, it was just kind of a confluence of circumstance. I'll get to that. But, all right, so in Section 1, we're going to be on Path 1. We've got that Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then I will be taking and dying to that Ebony Maw. I have got Miles in Section 2 with Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then I'll be using CGR for that Mysterio Mini, and I'll be taking that Mojo Mini on Node 55. Okay, so the idea initially was we should probably use an Immortal Abomination for that Mojo on Node 55. Now, we do have a rank 4 Immortal Abomination in this battle group, and that person was at a wedding and was unavailable. So, I suggested, hey, why don't I just, since I essentially only have a few fights with Cosmic Ghost Rider, why don't I just go ahead and bring my Immortal Abomination? He's rank 3, Sig 200, and I can just kind of take the fights that we would probably give that other guy. And so one of those fights is that Ebony Maw. Now, there's a specific interaction that is going to complicate that fight, and I went in with, how do I say? I went in with the hope that a particular strategy could work, but without the ability to test that strategy beforehand. So as I've always talked about, the best way to not die in war is to anticipate the best case scenario not working out and have backup plans and be able to make those adjustments on the fly in real time, which is very difficult, especially when you're engaging mentally to do different commands in the game and all that stuff. But again, we'll kind of talk about that, but the strategy that I chose, I knew that it was possible that it might not work, but I stuck with it too long, I committed too long, and just because of the node interaction, by the time I realized that I should have, approached the fight differently, it was probably improbable that I would win the fight, and then I made a mistake, which sealed the deal. But again, we'll get to that. All right, so this fight here, this has Masochism over time. This is a complete nothing fight. My White Mags is a rank 3, and if I just wanted to get through this fight as quickly as possible, I would have thrown on Guidance as I did here and used Cosmic Ghost Rider. The benefit of using White Magneto is when he cleans up a metal opponent, he gets, he has the ability to essentially get an additional guidance that he can place throughout the rest of the war. So that trade-off was worth it, and again, there's zero risk to this fight. Now, I am going to throw my SP3 only, because the SP3 is going to not inflict a debuff, which would trigger Masochism over time, as his SP1 and SP2 do. And then I'll also, not that it'll matter, but I'll also gain a Cruelty buff that lasts for quite a while, just increasing my critical attack damage. Which, again, it's not going to matter because by the time he comes out of this SP3 animation, he's pretty much dead. Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, we get through it very easily. Just took maybe, a minute longer than it would have with Cosmic Ghost Rider. Not a big deal. All right, so here's the deal with this Ebony Maw fight. It's a combination of Ebony Maw's abilities and this node, which is Strike, Counter, Fury, that screwed me up. Now, here is my plan. My plan was to go in with Immortal Abomination and get to my SP2. However, I know that I'm going to have to allow him to build up some Furies to get to my SP2 because it has Strike, Counter, Fury. However, when Ebony Maw is focusing, so basically there's a 7-second window at the beginning of the fight when he is trying to focus. You can break his focus by knocking him down, but during that period when he's trying to focus and is not yet focused, he reduces ability power by 60%. Now, ability power is not combat power, it's everything else, which includes Power Start 1. So there you guys can see, I used the Power Start 1 boost, but I only start with 40% of 1 bar of power. Now, at this point, I should have been like, okay, this is not going to work. Of course, I'm like, God, if I can just get to the SP2, I think that I can nuke him down really quick and just watch his passive Furies. I'm just going to let them build up. And at this point right here, I'm so focused on the passive Furies and I'm freaking out then I'm going to lose track of his falters. You guys can see his persuasive voice charges are at 35 underneath my bar. Once they get to 40, he's faltered. And it's every 20, I think. Yeah. So, all right, he's going to go back up to 60. He's faltered. Now I throw this SP1 because I'm so excited to throw it off. I get completely roasted by the degeneration damage. And he's just got too many Furies. Here's another falter that I've got to wait out. If I get shocked again, I'm screwed. So, you know, I could have gotten through this fight had I not made that mistake with the falter. But again, there's just so much going on in that fight. Ultimately, I just don't think that Immortal Abomination is a good call for that fight. So, you know, in the future, number one, I would be able to take that fight with Immortal Abomination. I would still use a Power Start 1, and I would just recycle SP1s. It would just be a longer fight. That's number one. Number two, you know, I would highly suggest just sending a Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is going to be very, very easy here. He's got his unblockable specials. You can throw those all the time, obviously with Mystic Dispersion. And the armors that you know, you get from this, or the defender gets from this node, you can easily stay above a bar of power. And then the biggest thing is you have your easy ends to knock him down and break his focus so that you never have to worry about the falter damage. So Dr. Doom, in hindsight, is the right call, or the easiest call. And generally when I'm talking about like easiest calls or safest matchups, it's just the matchups that are going to reduce the number of layers, reduce the number of things that the player has to actively pay attention to and play around. And that, you know, for example, is the reason that Quake is so incredibly powerful, and Ghost to a lesser degree. Because Quake, for example, if a defender can be quaked, you can literally ignore their abilities, you can ignore the node. She can quake some nodes that play around, you know, different node buffs and different champ abilities and stuff like that. That's kind of getting into the nuance of Quake, but in general, she can just quake somebody and you don't have to worry about all the layers. So the more layers you stack up, the more buffs that you have to look at and manage as a player, you know, the more dangerous a war fight is going to be, unless you're fighting somebody that you can't do a lick of damage like Psycho Man or something like that. So, all right, but that was my second death of the season. Honestly, can't remember what the first death. Oh, it was America Chavez with Quake, of course, naturally. So, all right, so here he is kind of being a little shithead. But yeah, you guys know I've taken plenty of defenders, global defenders with Cosmic Ghost Rider this season. The biggest thing is just get off your aptitude as the first judgment, and then make sure that your vigilance is the second judgment. The vigilance will activate before the aptitude ends, unless you're dicking around, and you can bypass the global miss passive. Because you'll have vigilance active throughout that entire miss passive duration. And then, you know, you can just get to your fifth judgment, throw your SP2, and with boost, you'll be back at an SP2 or an SP3 fight over. So, all right, Mysterio here. At one point in the season, I did have a sloppy Mysterio fight on this node, and I'm wondering if it's this one. Again, I can't really remember because this was a couple weeks ago, but it might be this one. So anyway, the biggest risk, or it's not even a risk, that's not the right way to say it, but the worst case scenario in this matchup in particular is, obviously the worst case scenario is if you mess up your judgments and you don't do the proper order, and then you have to, you know, fight your way to an SP2. That's the number one thing. But outside of that, it's going to be if you accidentally dex, or if if he throws like a random heavy right out of the gate and you instinctively dex it and you use your precision buff up and you don't get that crazy massive damage from your SP2. Doesn't look like that's going to happen here. It definitely happens at some point this season. So, alright, so aptitude, then we're going with vigilance. Alright, and then our next one is going to be power gain. And we just got to wait this one out, wait for another in. He throws his heavy, we can get out of that without dexing. Boom, we throw another SP2, and just wait for a little opening. And that is a perfect version of that matchup. So very quick and easy. All right, and then the last fight of the war, ultimately the reason that we kind of, I think we're focused a little bit on Immortal Abomination was this matchup here. So it does have Limber, it does have Disorient. Disorient only applies on well-timed blocks. Don't have to worry about that because I'm going to play this Stun Immune. The only thing that we really kind of need to pay attention to here, because we're benefited by the attacker tactic, so we won't gain buffs with Immortal Abomination, is his prompts are still going to be able to give him power. If I were to get a hater buff, then I can still degen. So there are still some danger factors here against Mojo. He's, of course, if he gets to an SP3, he's going to inflict the degen. So there's some things to worry about. This isn't like a slam dunk automatic. Like, it's a really good matchup, but like for me, for example, and you guys are going to see this, I'm kind of preemptively giving you the rundown here, but it's not like just an automatic slam dunk, come out of the fight with 90% health type of thing. So we still have to play around some things and be aware of some things. But all right, so we use the PS1. He's got the dash backwards prompt. There's no way really to to prevent that one. So he's 1 for 1. Congratulations. Going to throw the SP2 just to get the Toxic Aura up. And now from this point, all I want to do is recycle my my SP2s. Now, what I could and should have done there was just bait. But for whatever reason, I'm just like, maybe I should stay close to him. I know that I want to get to my SP1 again. I throw it a little bit too late. I throw it into his block. Now he's going to punish. And again, this is just a situation where, I'm looking at various things. Like, I'm not looking at the actual defender, you know what I mean? I got caught kind of staring at the prompts and stuff like that, and, that's on me. That's just poor play on my part, but yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. All right, dodge a hit. So we're just, we can kind of get around this one. Finally, we get him acid burns, and we're able to finish the fight. But it was ugly. But taking that fight again, I could have been dexing or trying to bait his SP1 a little bit better and stuff like that. There are always improvements. Any fight that you take, even if you for most fights that you take, that Mysterio fight was perfect, but. There are always improvements, so I'm always on the lookout for ways that I can improve, make the fight safer, especially as a planner. That's something that you want to keep in mind always, because those little nuances are oftentimes the difference between somebody dying and surviving. So anyway, that's it, guys. Leave a like and a comment, subscribe if you want to see more shit, and I'll be posting another video here, hopefully, at some point within the next few days, and not make you guys wait another week. But, all right, that's it. See you later.